It is your Saturday morning super sharp report for college football. We've got some weather. We've got, of course, all your public moves, your sharp moves, the money line moves, everything and more. Joe Duffy's picks. Enter Saturday. Perfect 3-0 this week in football. Year 32 of winning. Been winning since 1988 publicly for you. SEC total of the year, SEC West total of the year among 11 winners. 4 wise guy plays. By the way, a majority of our winners are at 3:30 Eastern or later, and it's all at offshoreinsiders.com. Now, we will take a look at some of your weather conditions to be aware of today. Winds are going to play a factor in a few games. Michigan and Wisconsin, UL Monroe, Iowa State, Wyoming, and Tulsa all going to have about 16 mile per hour winds. We're going to have 19 mile per hour winds at Central Michigan, Miami, and Florida, West Virginia, and Kansas. And one of the added rotation games, by the way, JoeDuffy.net with winning picks on the added rotation games using the same metrics that we use for our regular rotation games, but get that at JoeDuffy.net. Wagner and Florida Atlantic, 21 mile per hour winds. Now, these are the biggest public moves in terms of the percentage of bets, and those people who are contrarian bettors, this is the data they would use to bet against the public. You would bet against these plays because this is who the public loves in terms of percentage of bets. Baylor, 84% against Rice. Boston College, about 82% of tickets written against Rutgers. Oregon, 80% of the tickets written against Stanford. Now, these are the biggest sportsbook liabilities, who the sportsbooks are rooting against. 93% of the money is on Baylor. 91% of the money is on Old Dominion. That is really shocking. Very rare that the public loves the non-Power 5 teams against Power 5 teams. But I know, a lot of sharps out there think this is the ultimate sandwich game. Of course, we've written articles. The look-ahead part, the letdown, is bigger than an actual look-ahead. But anyway, Ohio State, in-state rivalry there, 88% of the money is on them against Miami of Ohio. Troy, 88% of the money on them against Akron. Now, here is who the sharp versus square info. It is Buffalo against Temple, and Tennessee versus Florida. Now let's give you the biggest line moves. Remember, mybookie.ag, we've made an arrangement. You will get the biggest sign-up bonus in the industry if you use the promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y. And make sure we got a bunch of free picks for today. Wherever you're watching or listening, our YouTube channel or Periscope, we've got free picks archived for today. So make sure you check them out. Also at JoeDuffy.net. And make sure you follow us at Twitter at Offshore Insider. Remember, there's no S at the end of that because of the character limitations. Offshore Insider on Twitter. All right, Wisconsin open up as a 5-point underdog. Now, the biggest line moves are truthfully go back to the true opening lines during the summer when a lot of the sports books had their games of the year. But it's still valuable. Why? Because the early season, and football is a lot about overreaction. So we can use the odds makers' knowledge against them. Of course, in each and every one of these, you got to consider were injuries part of the factor. But anyway, Wisconsin was a 5.5-point underdog against Michigan in the true opening lines in the game of the year openers. They're now laying 3.5. Oregon was a 1.5-point favorite against Stanford. They're now laying 10. Central Florida initially was laying only 2.5 to Pittsburgh. They're now laying 10.5. And, Pittsburgh had the bizarre decision. Maybe Pittsburgh is a little bit undervalued. This seems to be an overreaction line here. Who would have thought Florida State's line is actually going up in favor of Florida State? But Florida State opened up as a pick against Louisville in one of those game of the year things. They're now up to 6.5. Mississippi State was a 1.5-point underdog to California. They're now 2.5-point favorites. Obviously, that long trip for the road team. Georgia opened up as a 10.5-point favorite to Notre Dame. They are now a 14.5-point favorite, so it has passed that hook. And again, bet at mybookie.ag, the biggest sign-up bonus they will allow if you use the promo code Duffy, Duffy. And, in the game we're talking about, it's actually moved the other direction. Usually the public likes betting the favorite. Virginia opened up as a 30.5-point favorite there, now down to 27. That wasn't one of the game of the year plays. So that was some might say, a more truer line move from earlier on in the week. Again, joeduffy.net has all your free information, especially, oh my God, you definitely want to follow us on Twitter at Offshore Insider. And for the hottest handicapper and the most successful handicapper of all time, Joe Duffy's picks at offshoreinsiders.com.